few people confused. So it closed last night, and this morning I thought, I'm going to reopen that because there was an unusual high number of people who didn't take the quiz last week. So it is open right now until Friday. And I did that just to feel bad because it was my fault that there was confusion. And I know some of you are in the habit, which is a good habit, of going in on Thursday and doing all of those items. So since it wasn't there, the week for some of you I think was passed, and it was out of sight, out of mind. So that's available. Congratulations to those that entered the Opportunity Quest competition. I understand that they're reviewing those, judging those. So I congratulate those that are involved in that process as well. It'll be my privilege now to introduce our guest today. And as mentioned, the business planning competition, she's actually no stranger to that kind of thing. She's actually one of the Grow America contest winners. Some of you may have heard of that program. It's a fairly prestigious recognition. Her name is Marti Wymer. She is a woman with a purpose. She had the vision to see how small acts of kindness can change the world, and then the tenacity to follow through on those big ideas. After the death of her mother in 2007, she felt compelled to honor her and pursued the idea of this business called Spoonful of Comfort. She launched this national business within a year of that time when she had the idea, and it has grown significantly. Now she has a business partner, Scott Gustafson, who is with his wife, who is going into labor. So I don't know why he thought that was more important than being here. A couple weeks early, but going into labor. So he's not here, so she is on her own, which she'll handle just fine, and we appreciate her making the trip. She lives in Park City. She's also a Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business alumnus. She's from an entrepreneurial family. Both her parents were entrepreneurs, and she was featured on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine as one of the 100 most brilliant ideas of 2010. So you'll welcome her to share her idea. Marti.
Thank you for having me. I'm embarrassed to tell you after all that sounds really great on paper that how nervous I got pulling into campus, and I got that like juicy flashback feeling of having to give a presentation at school, and I got all juicy about it. So bear with me. Like you said, my partner Scott was supposed to be involved in this presentation with me, but this morning his wife is in labor and didn't want to be 2 hours away just in case it moved quickly. So I am going to try to cover most of it on my own. And so like Alan had told you, I'm going to start with where this idea came from. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs and people, you can get it from many places. Personal things that have happened to you, maybe something that is already existing, but you think you could do it better. And so for me, it started in October 2007 when I received that credit call. My mother had been diagnosed with cancer. And the worst part about hearing the news is that I was living thousands of miles away from her at the time. Of course, I was crushed, devastated, wished I could be there to comfort her, but I couldn't. So I wanted to send her something to show her how much I cared. So I jumped online, and of course there are tons of options for candy, flowers, and fruit, but nothing felt appropriate for this situation. And I thought, what do you send someone who's sick? Of course, chicken soup. Try as I might, I could not find anybody sending it. Tragically, I lost her just 6 weeks later. And out of that tragedy, this idea for Spoonful of Comfort was born. It would literally wake me up at night. I would wonder, why isn't anyone doing this? I had envisioned a gift that contained hearty chicken soup, home-style rolls, yummy cookies, all packaged super cute and sent with handwritten notes and loving care to people. Now, despite the fact that I had little money, zero experience in the food industry, and was and still am a terrible cook, in my mother's honor, I decided to go for it. Today I will share with you some of the journey of the last 7 years, in hopes that you can find a little piece of advice that may be helpful to you, and some tips that I wish I knew way back then. So here's where I started. Research, research, research. The first thing that I did was research the industry and the competition. Is the market big enough? Is anyone else doing what you want to do? Where does my idea in business fit in? It's so easy today. Everything is available online. I am sure there are programs at great colleges like this one that can help you with resources that you may need. And one little trick that I will tell you that I learned that was super helpful is if you can find a publicly traded company in your space, they publish their annual reports with all the data that you would ever need to help you find if there's a market for your product. To my delight, I learned that the online food industry was an $18 billion market. I had no idea when I first came up with this idea. Once I determined there was demand in my space and no one else sending soup, I needed to figure out what did I need to do to actually produce and sell my product. Who's going to make the soup? What are the regulations? Where was I going to package it? Where was I going to get supplies? I needed a website. Who was going to put that up? And then what was all of that going to cost? Finally, can I make any money doing it? And the entire process took me just about a year. It's not for the faint of heart, it's work. But if you put in your time, you can get there. If all of the above factors work out and you feel confident moving forward, it's time to test. You're going to want to start with an MVP, a minimal viable product. Now this is where a lot of people get caught up, waiting for their product to be perfect before they want to get it out there in the world. I get it, believe me. I am guilty of it myself. However, it is much better to just get it out there. You'll start to get feedback, you can adjust if need be. You're constantly going to be improving anyway, so it's okay. So I have my MVP, and what? I did what any self-respecting person would do. I hit up my friends and family. God love them, and they ordered. Then the most amazing thing happened. The recipients ordered, and their recipients ordered, and their recipients ordered. And organically, we began to grow. So every day, my fancy system looked like this. At 11 o'clock at night, I would fax. Y'all didn't know what a fax is. Fax my order into my kitchen where little Amish ladies would make my soup overnight. I would count up the orders that came in and try to guess how many I was going to need for the next day. I would wake up in the morning, I would get in my car, I would drive to the kitchen, pick up the food, bring it back home, and I was the one tying ribbon, writing notes, packaging it, and then at 5 o'clock, I was the one racing to the post office to get there before they left so I could get my packages out. Then, I didn't wait until I had employees. I didn't wait until I had facilities. I didn't have, sorry, that's part of what you teach, a master plan, business plan, growth plan. I just started to see if anyone would do it. And so as more orders came in, I was like, whoa, this might actually work. And so I had validated the product, and now I needed to get it to market. So I entered a contest where you submit your business idea, and the winner gets 2 free months of PO. And I won. Love the contest. There's 1 million out there. Apply for them all. And Spoonful of Comfort was picked up by local, regional, and national media outlets, including the Today Show. However, this is like everyone wants to be here. I probably got less business from the Today Show than many other media venues that I was in. And then a tipping point happened. And it was called Daily Candy. And I don't know if it's even still in existence anymore, but Daily Candy was a very popular blog owned by USA Today that did an article on Spoonful of Comfort. Problem is, nobody told me that they were doing that. And so, this day goes down in Spoonful of Comfort history. Early morning, go to my computer, check for orders, and it was like that old movie, which again, y'all probably never heard of, You've Got Mail, when you used to get an email and it would ding. And so I was sitting in front of my computer, ding, 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 these are orders coming in. And I started crying. And my husband walks past my office and he's like, wait, what's the matter? What's going on? I don't know. I'm getting those orders. I don't know where they're coming from. And I don't have soup. So those fabulous friends and family I have, called all of them. And they came over and we worked until 3 o'clock in the morning. But the next day we got every single order out. So that's when I knew it was time to get some help and get out of the garage. And along came my partner, Scott, who I wish was here for you to meet today. It usually doesn't work like this. However, he just happened to be the capital partner in a company my husband worked for. And they were looking for a new project at the time. My husband, of course, had told him about my soup business and what was happening there. And Scott said, well, we should take a look at that. And my husband said, no, we should not take a look at that. I do not want to have to work with my wife. Sure enough, here we are. 7 years later, great partners, going strong. Scott showed up and he made all of my entrepreneur dreams come true. He helped me find large-scale manufacturing, but one that still did it my way, with care, by hand. He helped me set up third-party distribution, so I wasn't packaging every single package every day. He invested capital, so we could invest in marketing and try to grow the company. And what did I do in response to his kindness? I freaked out. I lost it. I panicked. The thought of handing over my baby was so much harder than I thought. I went through many months of wanting to rein it back in, do it all myself, bring it back in my garage. It was hard. I had to change from my business to a company. I did not think that was going to happen. We were a real company with processes, spreadsheets, systems, and employees. I had to learn to let it go and let it grow. Your business will change and evolve. It will be uncomfortable at times. You just need to be sure to keep the right perspective. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Step one. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike one. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike two. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike three. Wow! I'm the greatest pitcher in the world!
Optimism. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
The advice that I want to leave you with for systematically launching and growing a business. Plan, test, adjust, repeat. This sweet boy planned on being the greatest hitter in the world. He tried a number of times, but he ended up having to adjust his plan to become the greatest pitcher in the world. Though it didn't work out as he initially thought, he was still a baseball player. So let's start with plans. These are all of your fantastic ideas. And if you're anything like me, you have a million. Make sure you're keeping a good list in one place that you can revisit which ones you want to prioritize and implement. Now, quick side note about ideas. There are many people within and outside your organization who want to offer you their ideas and tips for your business and your company. This is where things can get a little bit sticky for me. It can be hard to be open to other people's thoughts for your baby. Now, I'm not suggesting you change course every time someone comes along and offers you advice. I'm just saying try to stay open to suggestions that they may have. When you start to hear the same thing enough, you may decide that's something worth considering and tasting and testing. Funny, I just said tasting, because I'm about to tell you the great cookie war that went on at Spoonful Comfort. My perfect example of what a comfort package looked like is the way that my mother did it for me. Chicken soup, rolls, oatmeal cookies. That's how it was going to go. That's how I wanted it to be. My husband had the nerve to tell me that he thought we should send chocolate chip cookies. I was like, no way, you're not sending chocolate chip cookies. That's not how my mother did it. That's not how this business is going to go. And so, sure enough, customers started asking me, would you ever consider offering chocolate chip cookies? It took me a while before I told my husband that those emails were coming in. But anyway, I finally had to swallow my pride, and I started to offer chocolate chip cookies. And can you guess what our #1 seller today is? Chocolate chip cookies. So I ate a lot of crow after that one. So, now that you decide you want to implement some of your great ideas, whether it's a new product line like cookies or a growth strategy for customer acquisition, you should start small, especially if you are on limited resources like I was. I have learned the hard way that you should have a process in place, oh my God, a process in place to run every idea through. I learned the hard way, but this is my process now. Before you start, what's the cost in resources and time? What ROI am I expecting? And how long or how many will we test? When I didn't follow this plan, bad things happened. So for example, boy, how many times have I said back in the day? But anyway, okay, back in the day, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Groupon and the daily deal sites and how popular those were a few years ago. We thought this would be an excellent way for us to get our name out nationally affordably. We didn't have big budgets to buy ads and overnights and commercials and Super Bowl and that sort of thing. Our product does really well since we're new once somebody had it in hand. So we thought this is great. They will buy a voucher, it will be discounted, but they will get to try our product. And then we could convert them into a long-term customer. People loved it. They were buying it up. I made tons of them. What we hadn't planned for or tested was that customers didn't fulfill those orders right away. Our shipping costs ended up being more expensive than we thought they were going in. And we were losing money on these customers, a lot of money. The problem was that before we realized the toll that it was taking, we had sold 10,000 of them. It almost put us out of business. If we had started with a smaller sample, we could have caught it sooner and made adjustments accordingly. Adjust. Depending on the plan and the results, you may need to make adjustments to certain parts of your plan, or maybe you're going to need to abort it altogether. An example of adjusting may look like this. A big channel we work with right now and have customer base are wealth managers. They like to send our products to their clients, whether they're having surgery, sick. And so we wanted to target them more vigorously than we have been. So we started with a direct mail piece, minimal response. We got phone calls, see what happens. I'll give them an offer to try us. Minimal response. Let's email. Maybe they don't want to talk on the phone. Let's see what happens. minimal response. And so then we adjusted and thought, what's going to make them recognize and stop and take a look at our collateral? So we'll send them cookies, those dang chocolate chip cookies, haunting me the rest of my life. But anyway, so we're going to send them cookies with an offer and see if they'll get a response to that. No response. So that was 5 things that we tried to go after an audience that we knew were a customer. None of them worked. And so at that time, we're like, you know what? We're going to abort this plan, and we're going to try and go back to our drawing board, that list of ideas we had, and try another plan. So when you do find an idea that works, I want you to repeat it. Great, it's working. Get it going, keep doing that, and then go back and try another one, and see if you can get something else that will work, and start that process all over again. So, I want to thank you for your time and for having me. I hope that there's some nugget of advice in all of that is helpful for you in the future. I wish you the best of luck in all your ventures. However, on those days when the going gets tough, and it will, feel free to call me. I know just what will make you feel better. It's been full comfort. Thank you. Yeah?
You open to just a question?
Yeah, please.
On that story, the big channel of wealth managers, they're a big channel now.
Yes.
So how did it turn into that?
I'd like to say they found us. So for instance, we're going to send gifts for Get Well, we're going to send gifts for sympathy. And then as they came in, so this is something we had to pivot, we started to realize and see a lot of orders that came in from wealth managers, and they're like, oh, I didn't even think that this would be perfect for them. They have clients who are in that demographic of getting sick, having surgeries, losing loved ones, and we're starting to see a lot more corporate orders from these. So, anyone else, get any questions?
We talked with a business owner a couple of weeks ago who they had a product, it was baby moccasins, you guys might remember that freshly picked. And what they said, that they weren't really selling baby moccasins, they were selling memories.
Yes.
And that's how they promoted their business, because the babies would grow out of the moccasins, but they still had the little stuff on the shoes and the little, imperfections that they could keep and remember. I know that the cost of your item is fairly high, and then you've got the shipping that goes along with that.
Sure.
So tell me, do you capitalize on something like that?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
our brand, for instance, the gift that feels better, we don't sell chicken soup. We sell nostalgia. We sell love. We sell how it felt when your mother, when you were little and not feeling good, brought you chicken soup and put the cold cloth on your head, and how good that felt. Those are those nostalgic memories. We were lucky enough that chicken soup is kind of a brand in and of itself. So it already had collateral to the chicken soup and what even saying conjuring up chicken soup makes people feel. And so we have been I especially as a result of, obviously it's a very personal business to me, and very protective of, we're not a gourmet food. You're never going to order our soup for lunch. It is a gift that you can send your loved ones when they're hurting and need to feel comfort. So for sure. And that's a big thing, just finding out what your brand represents for your customers and promoting that.
Do you ever put anything else in the care packages besides those 3 things?
Absolutely, and that's, so she asked if we're putting anything else other than these 3 things in the care packages. And so now, one of our growth strategies, we just this year, coming along, we have switched, we've offered tomato basil soup. Now we're starting to have seasonal different soup offerings, and then depending on the occasion, we actually send we send a lot of new mother gifts, right? They're tired and they're hungry and they don't want to make anything, so we add cute little baby spoons, and now we're adding little accessories that allow you to personalize that gift. Bibs, things like that. We do a lot of college care packages. Kids are away from home, no one wants to admit it, don't you get homesick, I know, but a lot of moms send packages of maybe cozy socks and things like that. So that's one of the ways we're expanding. The types of food, but then also accessories. Okay. Yes.
You told me you might have some pictures of the pretty, do you have, I've seen them wrapped in like burlap, but do you have any?
No, not on here.
So describe what blanket box and help them show us what preparations required, what does it look like?
So in this, the first thing you're going to get is you actually have a custom tray with a ladle and a button on it, and it says "Love by the Ladle." And so within each of these boxes, one is the soup, one is the rolls, one is the cookies. We do teas, we do cozy blankets, and every single box has a handwritten note card from the sender in it. Yes. It's not cheap. Yeah, we actually have people on staff that just write the note cards all the way. And that's actually the part I miss the most, because that's really special. And a big part of what we do, when you start a business in your mother's honor and memory, you better deliver and deliver well. When every package goes out with her name on it. And so for us, quality control and the care that goes into every package is huge and the most important thing in our business. And I think what's helpful in the people that do the package, when you're writing a note, I'm so sorry you lost your baby, it's pretty hard to, they get it. They get emotional. You get attached to each and every customer and package that you're sending out. It's hard. That's a big part of what we do. And customer service. Always take care of the customer, no matter what happens. If, say it's just the cost of doing business, sometimes they will deliver packages to the front door, but everyone goes in their garage and they don't get it for 4 days later. We send another one. So the package arrives as it was intended. So that's just take care of our customers and you'll be fine. That. Anything else?
How many employees do you have now?
Okay, so I technically have 5 employees. However, we outsource a lot of our business. And I think when you're starting something, that's very helpful to just get going. You're going to pay a little more, but your costs are then variable. So you pay as you sell something, rather than have a facility that I have to pay for the building, for chefs, for equipment, for ingredients, for my fulfillment and my shipping. I have to have that all set up. I would just pay as a package goes, so each individually. And that helps keep our, like I said, our cost variable, cash flow better, inventory, super helpful that way. And we'll eventually get to a critical mass where we'll want to bring it all in-house, but for right now, that's the way that we do it.
What do you think is the best experience and the worst experience that you've had, but that taught you a lot?
Oh, gosh. I put you on the spot. So one day, yes, this was when I was packing the soup all by myself. And still early on, still super small, still trying to grow. And I had sent a sample package to a writer of the Chicago Tribune. So they did for PR, for them to write a story on it. And I was running behind that day, I had tons of orders, and I was scared I was going to get them out. I was all stressed out. And while I was packaging it, I dropped a glass jar of soup on the cement floor. And it went everywhere. It covered my boxes, it covered all my, it was a nightmare. But, what am I doing? This is crazy. Why am I still doing this? Next thing you know, the phone rings, and it is this writer from the Chicago Tribune. And she calls, she goes, "You're never going to believe what just happened to me. Walking into work, I slipped on ice, and I fell. I was having the worst morning. I get to my desk, and your package is there." She's like, "It's perfect. This is just what I need." And in that day, in all of the days that are really hard, like the minute you just need to read a testimonial or an email of how your product has helped somebody, your customer, it just makes it all better. And I'll go away. It's worth it. Okay. Okay. Thanks again.
Okay, we're going to have a little contest here. I have 3 of them. Here's what I'm going to have you do. You need to get in groups. And I'm going to have you think of an idea why. I'm going to give you 3 examples. And I want you to think of an idea and come up in your group with something you purchased before or that you know of, or even a new idea that you can think of that fits this category of what we call a value proposition. So there are things like restaurants. Restaurants don't just sell food, they sell convenience and atmosphere, right? The moccasins are not just moccasins, they're memories. Spoon full of comfort, not just chicken soup, it's an expression of love. There's a pan. Anyone ever heard of the company Mont Blanc? So Mont Blanc. Does anyone know what that word means? So they make a pen that has their logo, their logo on the top of the pen. It's a white, it's usually a dark colored pen, not like this, really nice pen with real gold in it and really expensive moving parts. And on top it'll have this little splash of white. That's where the name comes from, white mountain. And it looks like a snow-covered peak. And what do we do with the Mont Blanc pen? I'll tell you a quick story. The first day that I worked at Snow College, I walked in the office, and as the director of the Small Business Development Center, my assistant was showing me around, and she shows me this closet, supply closet, and in it there's this can, like a number 10 can, with a bunch of pens in it. And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Oh, that's the lost and found shelf," and we did have a lot of pens that are in it. I took the can out and I pulled out one of the pens and I said, "Do you know what this is?" And she looked at me like, "Oh no, I have to work for him, we should have hired him, this is ridiculous." And I said, "Do you know what this is?" She said, "It's a pen." I said, "Do you know what kind it is?" "No." I said, "Well, it's a Mont Blanc." She said, "Oh, okay," and then moved on to the next thing. I'm still holding the pen. I said, "Do you know how much one of these costs? This little pen in your lost and found can?" She says, "No, how much does it cost?" I said, "You probably would spend $120 to $200 or $300 on this pen." She's about fell over. She says, "What are you talking about?" I said, "That is a really expensive pen. So let's just say it was a $170 pen in your coffee can in the closet." Well, the people who buy that are not just buying a writing instrument. What do you think the people that buy that pen are buying? Prestige. They have clients that need to know that I am so successful. I mean, they wouldn't keep it hidden in the jacket. That pen would probably be right here. Because I'm trying to sell real estate to you, or I'm an attorney trying to get your business. That you need to see how successful I am. And so you've got to see that. And that's why Mont Blanc, top of their pen has their logo on it, their little index, so that you know that guy can blow $180 on a pen. So that is, what they're selling is not a right answer, they're selling prestige. So now we're going to go groups of just whoever's fighting, 2 or 3 or 4. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to come up with and hash over some ideas. Things you bought or seen or know of that really aren't what they seem like. It's not just a bar deodorant, it's this. Or it's not just a shoe, it's that. That's what they're really selling. So you need to think about it, it's called a value proposition. It's not just the item, it's the value in purchasing that item. Nonetheless, a few volunteers just tell us what their ideas are, I'll write them up here and we'll kind of get a vote to see who are the top 3 ideas. Top 3 ideas is something that really is a unique value proposition. So you got about, it's probably a little less than 5 minutes. Talk to each other, form your own groups, don't let them all along, these 2 people in a group.